Members of the British public who've been queuing for hours and hours to pay respect to Her Majesty the Queen are outraged as MPs' families have been given the privilege to be treated as VIPs by skipping the queue. Right, this is slightly out of control now. They've had a lot of weird stuff over the last week or so, the last few days since the death of Her Majesty the Queen. You've had the anti-free speech police arresting people for protesting. You've had the virtual signalers. And you've had ordinary people who just want to be respectful. And they've been treated like idiots. Because, as we said in the previous video, first things first, let's talk about the MPs' families. Because just because you're a member of the family of an MP, they've now been given them a priority VIP sort of access to skip the queue. Problem. Some people, some statists and pro-establishment types came and said, oh, we can defend the MPs skipping the queue because security concerns. Okay, sure, MPs security. But really? Their family? People don't even know who their families are. So that's idiotic. Second defense line that they had, they said, oh, well, MPs are busy. They're going to have to go back to work. So they have to skip the queue. One, it's recess. It's holidays. MPs are not working. They're not in Parliament. So the people who actually do the jobs are the staffers, the parliamentary assistants. Parliamentary assistants have not been given the privilege to skip the queues. Their families have. So MPs aren't even working. The staffers are doing the job. And why is it that the families skip the queue, but not even their own staffers? Second thing, it's not just MPs' families. We said in the previous video, you have two types of celebrities. David Beckham queued for 13 hours with normal people. And then you have Philip Schofield and Holly Willoughby and other celebrities on TV, personalities with face nappies covering their faces. They managed to skip the queue as well. Why? It makes no sense. Now, on this issue, I want to bring in the political editor of our channel, Peter Barnes, to ask him what on earth is going on. Right, Mr. Barnes, what do you think of this chaotic situation of the queue? Because on the one hand, David Beckham is queuing. Then not necessarily just the MPs. My problem is not the MPs. The MPs' families getting the VIP pass. And you were saying before we start recording that apparently some of our mutual friends have also been getting VIP passes, and they don't even work in Parliament, do they?
Yeah, that's very true. I think from an optics point of view, I think it looks terrible. I generally think it's awful. I think there are people who are queuing for over 10 hours. A friend of mine has literally just done it in, I think it's about 12 and a half hours. I did it on Thursday in just over 5 hours. So I think I kind of timed it quite well.
Lucky, yeah.
Yeah, I have to admit. I queued for about 7 in the morning on Thursday, and it took me about 5 hours to go through the whole thing. But no, I just think, this is supposed to be everybody showing the same amount of respect, everybody wanting to be part of something, and for people to kind of jump the queue a little bit, I just don't think it's right. I understand it, say, for example, for security purposes, if you're, if it's like the Liz Truss or something, I don't expect her to queue for 10 hours or whatever, but I do think it's right. Like Holly Willoughby and Philip Schofield, they've been caught in the VIP queue. What's their connection to any of this?
I know.
And I just don't think it's right. I kind of get it, say, if they're related to the royal family or they're close friends of the royal family, that kind of thing. I kind of get it.
Yeah.
But just in general, I think it looks bad. I think it will rub people up the wrong way. And I think the amount of goodwill David Beckham has just won.
I know.
I mean, it just seems like a great PR win. I don't understand why more celebrities aren't doing it.
Yeah, just put a hat on, cover your face.
Like everybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah, fair enough. Keep a low profile if you want to, but you can slowly leak it to the Daily Mail or whatever later on. Oh, I queued as well, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I just think people taking advantage of the system never looks good, and particularly on something like this, I think you're asking for a backlash from people. I think the queue has been rather well behaved. I've not really heard of any major fights or upsets or anything coming from it, and I think
quite impressive.
It's been really impressive. I have to admit, I was really impressed with all the marshals, everybody along the route. The way that it's been put together, I think it's been exemplary, and I just think it's a shame really that certain people have taken advantage.
Exactly. It is absolutely astonishing and how well. Apparently, also earlier today it got so full that there was a queue for the queue. So that was
Oh, I mean, it's some kind of Qception thing. But it's also, I have a friend of mine who was out in America, and he said, "Come on, Brits, you've been practicing for this your entire lives. Come on, it's the ultimate Q."
the final boss of queues. I love
Yeah,
that.
but like I said, if anybody wants to do it over the weekend, my suggestion is brace yourself because it's going to be a long slog. But
Exactly.
I have to admit, to be part of history, to say that you did it, I think I'm glad I did because I was in two minds about whether to do it, and that was on Thursday. Let alone
Yeah.
what it's going to be like later on tonight or even on Saturday and especially on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. No, thanks again for your thoughts and thank you for queuing for the queue, Peter Barnes. We're going to come back in half an hour with more news updates for you guys. I'm my TC and we are the media.